While we must and will win this war, we should also remember the high price that will be paid if the very foundation of modern society is destroyed.
Mr. Grant Heslov, John Goodman, Bill Murray, George Clooney, Matt Damon, Bob Balaban, Dimitri Leonidas, Harry Ettlinger, and Jean Dujardin. Gentlemen, thank you very much. And Juliet is our interpreter at the end for Mr. Jean Dujardin. In the film, Frank says, art is to be held up and admired. Now, given our location here in the National Gallery today, and where indeed a Monuments Man, Cecil Gould, was Deputy Director, I just wondered if each of you, just to get us warmed up, would name a piece of art that you particularly admire. Grant, could we start with you?
Michelangelo's David is one that...
Yeah.
Yeah, just every time you see it, it makes you weep.
John?
Starry Night, Van Gogh.
Okay. Bill?
There's a wonderful photograph of, who's the relief pitcher of the Yankees?
Mariano Rivera?
Mariano Rivera.
Mariano.
There's one day in baseball when all the baseball players wear number 42, and he was the last person allowed to wear number 42. And they went out to change that for a pitching change, and there's 7 men on the mound, all wearing the number 42.
That's a photo.
That's a photograph.
You love, yeah. George?
Baseball's huge over here.
Yeah. I'll go down.
In fact, every one of them nodded when you said, yeah, that picture.
Yeah, like we
Oh,
know
Rivera, yeah, the all-time saves leader, sure. Yeah.
If you'd said cricket.
I like the ones that sort of take your breath away. I don't think I've ever been more moved than walking in to see the sculpture at the Lincoln Memorial.
Okay.
Well, yesterday we actually got to see Da Vinci's Last Supper, so that's kind of on my brain because we just actually had a viewing of it to promote the film. Because obviously there's a scene at the beginning of the film where all the Italians are trying to save it. So I would say that one.
I'm going for a more contemporary guy, but it's an artist named Philip Guston. He does a giant foot that I admire.
Mine would be, it's a building. I saw the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona. And it was the story really that amazed me, was that people have worked on it and passed away, and then their sons have worked on it and passed away, and none of them have actually seen it finished because it's been, they've been making it for over 200 years, and generations of family have worked on this building, and I thought that was quite amazing.
I believe we're talking about
Pieces of art that have meant something to us.
Yeah.
well, a piece of art that we have meant something to, I hope all of you, just like that meant art to me, because it needs to be around us to make life more meaningful, more enjoyable. We would not like life with white walls around us. And it was emphasized, I think, yesterday, when, as you've heard, we saw the Last Supper. And I said to myself, there are beautiful views in front, beautiful views in the back, but white walls on the side. It sort of makes that room not complete. And I hope that perhaps there's some capable individuals who will fill it in the next couple of centuries. We, human beings, need culture around us. We cannot live in a world with white walls and make it progressive for our dependents. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, Harry. Jean?
Painter, I like Kandinsky for his balance and and Mona Lisa, Mona Lisa, Mona Lisa. That's it.
We'll see. Just before we open it to the floor, George and Grant, the story is clearly based on a true one. You took the decision to change some of the names in there. I just wondered what the reason was for that and what it allowed you to do dramatically with the film.
You go. No, you go.
All right, you go.
Okay, I'll go. We wanted to change the names. Obviously, some of the people are pretty recognizable. Rose Valland was a hero to the French. But we wanted to be able to tell a story much like most films do. We weren't doing a documentary, and we didn't want to give any of these real men flaws that would be in any way upsetting to their families. If you have a little bit of a drinking problem, or if you have a little bit of a flirtation with a certain curator, or we just wanted there to be our ability to be able to tell the story without offending anyone. Most films do that. Lawrence of Arabia isn't quite completely accurate, but we still appreciate it. I think that was the point of it. Grant?
I should have gone.
Yeah, you should.
No, that was it. We just wanted to be able to, we wanted to be able to tell the story in a compelling way, and be able to fictionalize some stuff.
Okay. Claire, I think you'd like to open.
Good morning, everybody. It's a question to all the panel, please. The film captures a great camaraderie and sense of humour and team spirit, and I just wondered how important that it existed off-set as well as on.
Grant?
I think if you talk to each, well,
go ahead, Grant.
Yeah, it was hard to get these guys to work actually, because all they want to do is play around with each other.
Well, that came off.
I mean, hey, when I say play around with each other,
I couldn't get out of John Goodman's room, I'll tell you.
That's the quote that will be on the cover of all the magazines. Yeah, look, we are all friends. We all get along. It was a really wonderful time and wonderful shoot, but we didn't lose sight of the idea that we were talking about fairly important issues along the way too, and so everybody handled it, I think, with the proper care, even though there was a lot of.
Well, George actually had to work. George and Grant wrote the script, and they were producing the movie. George was directing it and starring in it. The rest of us are kind of used to headlining movies and carrying them, and so when you get in an ensemble like this and you're working like 2 days a week, it's really, really fun. And we all just kept reminding each other to smell the roses and appreciate the fact that we were in a really great movie with a director who was great and had everything under control, and we just laughed a lot, basically.
Matt was the only one working 2 days a week, John. I'm sorry. We just didn't tell him.
Anybody else like to comment on the camaraderie of the humour as well, which underpins it?
I don't think.
No.
First time I've ever had on a film with my pants on. No, it's just the spirit of everyone. Everyone was very respectful towards each other. We appreciated each other. I was very grateful to be cast in this film, and there was, because George did such careful preparation, it made each day easier and more fun.
Okay. Darrell, I think you've got the next one.
Question for George. The movies that you make as a director and producer tend to be interesting, true stories, maybe small stories that we didn't know about. But they're very different from the films that you made as an actor early on in your career.
Yeah. You mean Batman and Robin? I thought
You
that was
might
a
have
little
said it.
independent film about a man in a rubber suit with nipples.
But I wonder if that was always part of a plan to sort of get your profile as high as possible, maybe earn a bit of money as well, and then move on to these sort of stories that you wanted to tell.
No, he was trying to make Batman and Robin an art film.
It felt like such a good chance.
It's kind of amazing if you go back and rewatch it.
If you watch it with the sound off and the color turned off, it looks like an art film. I did a lot of film. Early on in your career, you just take jobs because you're excited to get them, and a lot of those times They aren't always necessarily the best of jobs, but look, every one of them led to another place for me. And for a while, we would do films, and we would say one for the studio and one for us. And as I've gotten older, it's a little less of that. We sort of try to work as much of the around the kind of away from the comic book, the big blockbuster films, and we try to, as long as we keep the budgets down on the films, we're able to, from Good Night and Good Luck to Ides of March to, Michael Clayton to The Descendants or Up in the Air. As long as you keep the budgets down, keep them way down, you're able to sort of work around the periphery of the larger budget films because they'll still make a profit.
Okay. There are several questions in this, the third row, and we'll start with this gentleman here, and we'll move the microphone along. Thank you.
It's a question for the cast. It's a fascinating story, which I'm ashamed to say I was completely unaware. And of course, the movie raises the question where art belongs. Obviously, it's universal, but there's certain particular, for example, the Elgin marbles, something like that.
Apparently, I got in trouble saying something about that.
I just wondered if anyone would like to comment on that particular issue, because it's been a sore point of contention, as you all know, between Britain and Greece, and it's very much a part, I think, of their background and their culture, yet of course so much of it resides here, and this is a sort of question that a film like this, I think, throws up.
Well, I stepped into one the other day. I was at a press conference like this and somebody brought it up, and so I had to do a little research to make sure I wasn't completely out of my mind. Even in England, the polling is in favor of returning the marbles from the Pantheon marbles. I don't know. Look, the Vatican returned parts of it, the Getty returned parts of it. It is a question in that case of just breaking up one piece of art and whether or not one piece of art should be as best as possible put back together. Obviously, it can't be completely put back together. So it's an argument to say maybe that's one of those instances. It's not about giving, you're never going to be able to, I think the bust of Nefertiti should be given back. There's certain pieces that you look at and you think, that actually probably was probably the right thing to do. I know that someone yesterday said that it's probably that he's an American and he doesn't understand, and it's like, well, he's probably right. I'm not very bright.
But that can't always be the British default setting. I mean, seriously. That's not actually an argument. You can't just say, well, you're American, you don't get it.
But I do think that it's worth having an open discussion, which is an obviously ongoing discussion, but it really wasn't meant to be, that was a one in about 100 questions at a press conference from a Greek reporter asking me about the marbles, and I said, I said that I thought it's probably a good idea that they found their way back at some point.
Well, you're American, you don't understand.
I don't understand.
Any of the rest of the panel like to comment on that? You'd asked for a couple of other comments, returning of the art.
It seems like it's a problem all over the world. Who owns this art? Where did it come from? Where it came from? Do they have the right to give it back? And I think, it's had a very nice stay here, certainly. But London's gotten crowded, and there's plenty of room back there in Greece, plenty of room. But England could take the lead on this kind of thing of letting art go back where it came from. And then if they were all together, the Greeks are nothing but generous. They'd loan it back every once in a while, like people do with art, right?